If you're between 75 and 85 years old right now, I want to start with something that might sound almost like a compliment, because in a way, it genuinely is. If you're still doing the 6 things I'm about to describe to you, you're doing something genuinely exceptional. But here's what makes this different from the usual health talk you hear everywhere on television and the internet. This isn't about being perfect in every single way. This isn't about having the best genes or the most money or access to the fanciest doctors or the most advanced treatments available anywhere. This is about something much simpler and much more powerful than all of that combined. It's about the choices that have quietly added up over your entire life, the daily decisions that most people abandon somewhere along the way, and the fact that you haven't. That matters more than you probably realize right now in this moment. The thing is, by the time you reach 75, the world has a story it wants to tell you about what your body can and cannot do anymore. It tells you that decline is inevitable and unstoppable. It tells you that fatigue is normal and expected at your age. It tells you that losing your independence is just part of the deal, just the natural progression of aging that happens to everyone. And if you listen to that story long enough, if you hear it repeated enough times from doctors and from television and from your friends, it starts to feel like the truth. It starts to feel like that's just how things are supposed to be. But I've seen enough people in this age range over the years to know something different. I've seen people at 78 who move with more fluidity and grace than people at 60. I've seen people at 82 who have sharper minds and steadier hands than people 2 decades younger. I've seen people at 84 who can walk for miles and remember details about their entire lives with perfect clarity. And the difference almost never comes from luck or genetics alone. It comes from 6 specific things that these people are still doing. 6 habits that most people your age have already given up on completely, and 6 choices that might be the difference between a life of independence and joy and a life where independence slowly slips away. I want to tell you what these 6 things are, but more importantly, I want to explain why they matter so much at this stage of your life. Now, I need to be direct about something before we go further into this together. This isn't going to be the typical list of things you've heard 100 times before. You already know you should move more and eat better and sleep well. Everyone tells you that constantly. Your doctor tells you that. Your children tell you that. You see it on the internet constantly. You see it on billboards. But knowing something intellectually and actually understanding why it matters, especially when you're in a stage of life where the reasons feel completely different than they did at 50 or 60, those are 2 completely different things entirely. So what I want to do in the next few minutes is show you not just what these 6 things are, but why they matter so profoundly right now, at 75 or 80 or 85, in ways you may have never fully understood before. I want to show you the real mechanisms underneath, the actual physiological reasons why these things matter so much more now than they did decades ago. The first thing that people who stay truly exceptional at this age are still doing is moving their body with intentional variety every single day without fail. And now, this isn't about running marathons or joining a CrossFit gym or anything dramatic or intense like that. It's about something much more subtle and much more important to your actual quality of life and your independence. By 75, your body has spent decades, literally more than half a century, adapting to your patterns of movement and activity. If you've been mostly sedentary, mostly sitting, your body has adapted to that. Your muscles have gotten progressively smaller, your joints have gotten stiffer and less mobile, your circulation has gotten slower and less efficient, your cardiovascular system has adjusted downward, and your nervous system has essentially learned that you don't move much, so it doesn't prepare you to move well anymore. It doesn't maintain the pathways for fluid movement. It doesn't keep your balance mechanisms sharp. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is really important. Your body, even at 85, is still capable of learning new movement patterns. It's still responsive to stimulation. It still wants to adapt and change and improve if you give it a reason to. The problem is that most people think moving means formal exercise, and they've decided they can't do formal exercise anymore, so they do nothing. They abandon movement altogether. But movement is different from exercise. Movement is simply changing position, reaching and stretching for things, bending down, rotating your spine, walking in different directions, shifting your weight from side to side, exploring what your body can do right now, not what it could do 30 years ago. Movement is the natural, varied activity that's woven throughout your day. The people who stay exceptional don't just take a walk for exercise one time a day. They walk with intention and variation throughout their day. They walk uphill sometimes and on flat ground other times. They walk on different surfaces, on grass and on pavement and on dirt. They reach and stretch throughout the day without thinking of it as formal stretching. They change position frequently. They garden, or do gentle yard work, or do light housework, or fidget throughout the day, or dance in the kitchen while music plays, or play with grandchildren. They explore their range of motion, not because they're trying to get a workout in, not because they're checking a box on some exercise list, but because it feels natural to them. It's woven into their life, and what's happening underneath all that movement is absolutely profound and real and measurable. Every time you move in a new way, your nervous system is learning something new. Your muscles are being reminded that they have a job to do. Your circulation is improving with every movement. Your balance is being maintained in the most functional way possible, not in a controlled setting at a physical therapy clinic, but in real life, doing real things. And crucially, your brain is getting constant feedback that you're still capable, still adaptable, still alive and engaged in your body. This feedback is essential. It changes how your brain perceives your own aging. It changes your confidence in your own physical abilities. It changes whether you believe you can do things or whether you believe you're helpless. And that belief system, that mental model of yourself, that's actually one of the most powerful determinants of your actual physical health and your independence. The second thing that people who remain truly exceptional at this age are still doing is protecting their cognitive health and their mental sharpness like it's precious, because it absolutely is. Now, there's a lot of talk about memory decline and cognitive aging, and yes, some changes are normal and expected. Your brain does change as you age. You might process things slightly more slowly. You might need more sleep to consolidate memories. You might be more easily distracted. Those are real age-related changes. But here's what most people completely misunderstand about aging and the brain. A lot of what gets labeled as cognitive aging is actually the result of specific, changeable factors. It's not actually aging at all. It's deconditioning. It's isolation. It's lack of stimulation. One of the biggest factors is isolation and loneliness. The human brain was literally built and evolved for connection, for conversation, for having to explain things to other people, for hearing new ideas and perspectives that challenge your thinking, for engaging in disagreement and discussion and debate. When people stop doing those things, when they retreat into smaller and smaller worlds, when they stop talking to people and engaging with others, their brain starts to shrink in measurable ways. Studies have shown this. It's not age that's doing the damage. It's the loss of cognitive engagement and social connection. The people who stay sharp, who maintain their mental abilities into their 80s and 90s, are still doing things that require their brain to work hard. They're still reading, still learning new things, still having real conversations with other people, still doing things that require them to solve problems, or remember things, or think in ways that are challenging and new. They're not just consuming passive entertainment on screens all day, they're engaging actively with the world. They may be learning a language or an instrument or a skill they never had before. They're involved in hobbies that require focus and attention and concentration. And that engagement, that activity, that constant stimulation, that's what keeps the brain from aging the way most brains age in retirement. The third thing is something almost nobody talks about, and that's managing their stress and their emotional life with real, deliberate intention and conscious effort. There's this strange assumption in our culture that by 75, you should be past stress, past emotional drama, past the need to work on your inner world and your emotional health. But the truth is that stress and chronic worry and unresolved emotional patterns are absolutely devastating to the aging body. They affect your sleep quality significantly. They affect your immune system function. They affect your inflammation levels throughout your body. They affect your heart. They affect your digestion. They affect everything. And most people just live with a constant low level of stress and anxiety and sadness, and they call it normal. They think it's just what happens when you get older. The people who stay truly exceptional have usually figured out, either through deliberate practice or through life experience and wisdom accumulated over decades, that their emotional state is not something that just happens to them like the weather. It's something they can actually influence and shape and improve. Some of them meditate, even if they didn't used to when they were younger. Some of them practice gratitude or journaling to process their thoughts and feelings. Some of them have learned to let go of grudges or resentments they've been carrying for decades. Some of them have worked through old hurts and old traumas with a therapist, finally addressing things they've carried their whole lives. Some of them simply spend time in nature or engage in activities that bring them peace and tranquility. But they're doing something intentional. They've recognized that their mind and their emotions are not separate from their physical health. They're intimately connected. Everything that happens in your mind creates a cascade of physical changes in your body, and they treat their emotional life with the same care and attention they would give to any other aspect of their health. The fourth thing is something that sounds simple, but is actually profoundly important to your health, and that's eating real food instead of processed food. By 75, most people have been exposed to decades and decades of processed food, convenience food, fast food, packaged meals that are engineered to be easy and tasty, but are missing something essential and important. And at this stage of life, your body is significantly less forgiving of poor nutritional choices. Your metabolism is different than it was when you were younger. Your digestive system is different. Your nutrient needs are actually higher in many cases, not lower like many people think. Your body needs more protein. It needs more of certain vitamins and minerals. It needs more of the things that support bone health and brain health and heart health. The people who stay exceptional aren't buying the idea that eating less is better or that convenience is worth the cost to their health. They're still cooking. They're still choosing whole foods, real foods, foods that come from the earth or from an animal, not from a factory designed to maximize shelf life and profit margins. They're eating vegetables and fruit and good quality proteins and healthy fats. They're eating real food that has been part of human diets for thousands of years. And here's what's really interesting, and what I've observed repeatedly in people who make this shift. When people go back to eating real food, after years or decades of convenience food, things change. Their energy improves noticeably, their digestion improves, their mood improves, their skin improves. Inflammation decreases throughout their body. They start to feel better in ways they didn't even realize they had lost. They didn't know how bad they had felt until they felt good again. The fifth thing is protecting their sleep, but in a different way than most people approach it and think about it. Sleep at 75 is not the same as sleep at 45. That's just the truth. You may not sleep as long as you used to when you were younger. You may wake more often during the night. You may find yourself awake at 3 in the morning, unable to get back to sleep. That's not a failure. That's not something you did wrong. That's not a sign of weakness. That's just what aging sleep can look like sometimes. But here's where most people go wrong with their approach to sleep. They try to force their sleep into the old pattern they had decades ago. They lie in bed getting more and more frustrated because they can't sleep the way they used to. Or they reach for pills, prescription medications, or over-the-counter sleep aids, which can have their own problems and complications and side effects. The people who stay exceptional have accepted what their sleep looks like now and have optimized for quality over length and quantity. They have a steady sleep schedule, going to bed and waking at similar times every day without variation. They keep their bedroom cool and dark and quiet. They avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. They don't drink alcohol late in the day, even though it might seem to help them sleep in the short term, because it actually damages sleep quality and leaves them feeling worse in the morning. They get sunlight in the morning, bright light exposure early in the day, which helps set their circadian rhythm properly. They manage their stress so their nervous system isn't activated and aroused when they're trying to rest. And they've often accepted that a nap in the afternoon or a rest period is just part of their rhythm now, and that's completely okay. It's not laziness, it's wisdom about how their body works. The result is that even though they might sleep fewer hours than they did at 30, they're sleeping better quality sleep, and they wake up with more real restoration and vitality. The sixth and final thing, the one that seems to pull everything together into a unified whole, is something that might surprise you when you hear it. It's maintaining genuine curiosity about the world and about their own life and their own existence. This might sound like it has nothing to do with health, with your heart and your muscles and your brain, but I'm telling you it's one of the most important things. People who stay truly exceptional don't just accept what they've always believed. They ask questions. They wonder about things. They try things they've never tried before. They notice the small details around them. They stay interested in life. They stay engaged. They stay alive mentally. And that stance toward life, that openness and curiosity and willingness to learn, it's not just good for the mind and the spirit, it's deeply connected to physical health as well. It keeps people engaged with life. It keeps them feeling like life is still worth participating in fully. It keeps them trying new things, which often means moving in new ways, eating new foods, meeting new people, thinking new thoughts, learning new skills. And all of that adds up to a kind of vitality that has nothing to do with how old you are and everything to do with how alive you're choosing to be. Now, here's what I want you to really understand about these 6 things combined. They're not complicated or confusing. They're not expensive or out of reach for most people. They don't require special equipment or expensive memberships or supplements or anything like that. What they require is choice. They require deciding, day after day, month after month, year after year, that these things matter to you. They require pushing back a little bit against the story the world is telling you about what 75 or 80 or 85 is supposed to feel like. They require recognizing something important, something that I think gets lost and forgotten in all the talk about aging and inevitable decline. It's that the choices you're making right now, today, this week, this month, are creating the person you'll be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're not stuck. You're not helpless. You're not just waiting passively for decline to happen to you. You're actively creating your own future with every single choice you make. The truth is that aging is a process that happens to everyone who lives long enough. But the way you age, the quality of that aging, the level of independence and vitality and mental sharpness you maintain, that's not determined by your genes or your age or your past. It's determined by what you do now. It's determined by the choices you keep making, day after day, moment after moment. It's determined by whether you believe you can still change and improve, or whether you've decided you're just slowly declining and there's nothing you can do about it. If you're in this age range and you're still doing most of these things, I want you to know that that matters tremendously. That's not ordinary. That's not easy. That's not the path most people take. And the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you're listening to this right now, the fact that you're thinking about these things and considering them seriously, says something important about you. You haven't given up. You still believe your life is worth taking care of. You still believe you have a future worth investing in. And that belief, that determination, that willingness to keep choosing these things, that's the thing that's actually going to carry you forward into the years ahead. The world tells you one story about aging and what happens to your body and mind, but you have the choice to write a different story. You have the choice to be the person at 80 or 85 who still moves, still learns, still engages, still eats real food, still sleeps well, still stays connected, and still wonders about the world. That choice is available to you right now, today, and every day forward. Before you go, I want to hear from you, and I want your honest answer. In the comments below, tell me which one of these 6 resonates with you the most right now. Which one do you think you're doing really well, and which one do you think you could improve on? Are you someone who's managed to keep all 6 of these going strong, or are there some you've let slide over the years? And here's what I'm really curious about. Do you think most people your age have given up on all of these things? Or do you think there are more people than we realize who are still choosing to do these things? I genuinely want to know what your experience has been, because the people who watch and comment on these videos are the people who haven't given up, and I think that's worth celebrating and worth talking about openly. Your story matters. Your experience matters. Share it in the comments below. Tell me your thoughts. Whatever you do after watching this, whatever 1 or 2 or all 6 of these you decide to focus on going forward, know this. You're at an age where wisdom and experience and body are still working together. That's rare. That's valuable. That's something to protect and nurture carefully. Don't waste it. Don't let the world's low expectations become your own. Take care of yourself the way you would take care of someone you deeply loved, because you should be that person to yourself. You deserve that care. You deserve that attention. You deserve to feel strong and clear and independent and vital for as many years as possible. Your life is still being written. Your story is not over. The best chapters might still be ahead of you if you choose to make them that way.